Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the session about data security. My name is Jordi. I'm actually just going to introduce these people, and then they're going to take over the discussion. All right, so in terms of data security, I tried to find something about these people on the internet. So this is what I found about Tony this morning in 5 minutes. And when I was done, I still didn't know what Tony would look like. But now I know. Let me just open my phone quickly. Found some other quick facts to introduce Tony. He's the co-founder and CEO of Nimble Gravity. And he's done a very interesting avalanche training that I could find on Google as well. So I think he likes the outdoors because he's done it in Boulder or in, no, I have to say this differently. The company's HQ is in Denver and he did an avalanche training. So I figured he liked skiing in Boulder. I'm not sure if that's correct though.
It's a good interpretation of the data. Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Right, then I went over to Shaun and I found some really nice pictures. But in terms of data security, I didn't keep that data secure. So he already replaced them before this meeting. So Shaun Leavy, I think that's how I should pronounce it. He's the founder of Kinetic Six and also Double Trinity and does a lot on security nowadays. And according to his LinkedIn, because that's the only thing I could find about Shaun, because he's very good at his data security, that he likes RF and he does a lot for the defense. So without further ado, I think I'm going to give this microphone to Tony, and he will get you through his part of the presentation.
Thanks, Jordi. I think we're going to draw some parallels between what conservation security is interested in and what we're all personally interested in, and not just the parallels between them, but there's a deep association between trying to keep conservation data secure and our own personal security. And first I want to talk about privacy, because I think this is kind of the first layer of data security. So, we're all consumers and we want our data protected. We want it private. Jordi found some embarrassing photos of me on the internet somehow. And why he could find them, I don't know. It's probably my fault though. As consumers, what do we want? First, we want to make sure that companies are asking us for permission before they do something with our data or collecting it in the first place. We also want to make sure we know how people are accessing that data. We want to be able to fix the data if it's wrong. So if someone is thinking I have a certain background and I want to fix that, or I want to ask the company to completely delete that, I should be able to do that too. So the right to be forgotten, all of these kind of things. I also want to make sure I can take the data out of that system and go somewhere else. If I decide I don't like one particular system anymore and I want to go somewhere else, I should be able to do that. And I also want to be able to opt out and not have them ever collect anything about me in the first place. I want to make sure they can't discriminate against me. So, for example, if I choose to give some website some information, they can't prevent me from using their website. I should be able to still use it even if I don't want to tell them when I was born. And then I want to make sure that that data is secure and that my password for that website doesn't show up somewhere else. And I want to make sure that if they are sharing my data with other companies that I know that. And so imagine, we should think, I think, of security around ourselves and the security around animals in this similar way. That's how I personally think about it. Then there's this idea of what is personally identifiable information. So your name probably is one. We have a national ID in the US called a social security number, or SSN. Your passport is personally identifiable. Your driver's license maybe can specifically identify you. Your credit card number, maybe it identifies you or your spouse. Like my wife's credit card number is the same as mine, so maybe that's not totally personal, but bank account number is the same way. My medical records, all these are very personally identifiable. It's the same thing as thinking about a tracker as a personally identified thing. These are all specific things that only point to me in the world. But you can't just think of these as personally identifiable information, because there are things like my fingerprint. This is probably personally identifiable. Eye scans, my phone number, maybe my home phone number. Actually, I don't even have a home phone, only a cell phone, but my email address, my work email address. Maybe this is, what about my IP address? This might be personally identifiable. What about postcode? That's, maybe it's personally identifiable, maybe it's not. In the US, we do a census every 10 years or so. And I thought it would be funny to think about, can a zip code be personally identifiable? So I looked at the postcodes that only had one person in them. And it turns out that there's 5 of them in the US, where because the postcode only has one person and the census tracks the age and the salary of the people in that postcode, the US Census gave me these 5 people's age and how much money they make. That feels bad. So my point in all this is when we think about data, we have to think about how people might use it in ways that we did not expect to take advantage of us, or how do we think of this in our work in conservation, or in your work in conservation, to help keep the data that you are tracking and working so hard to collect safe as well. These are all things to think about. So a number of other things that are problems, and we need to think about these. Browsers and how much battery life is in your computer, and is there a gyroscope or a GPU? Every time you go to a website, the server that's giving you this website can track all of these things. They know all of these things, and they can use that combination of what browser you're running, what version of browser you're running. They can track, whether your computer's plugged in or not, all these things. And they create a kind of fingerprint for your computer. And that fingerprint means that other websites can know that you were on some other website. So it's possible that someone would be able to know, for example, that people on their website were also on EarthRanger. And so as an example, I'm going to think about this. In the business world, people use that fingerprint to personalize ads to get you to click more, or to give you a video that maybe you watch and they recommend some videos for you. Or they want to track you and understand your behavior so they can sell you more products and more e-commerce. They also want to experiment on you, and I don't mean like in a mad scientist sort of way, but they want to test certain audiences. They want to give some people something to click and other people another thing to click. And they use this for other things, like to confirm your credit, or to communicate to you, or share data with other companies. And in that sharing data with other companies, they also let those companies experiment with you. And they sell your data. And this GDPR tries to control some of this, and US has some similar things. It doesn't really happen because we opt in. Every time you go to one of these websites and you say, I agree to the terms of use, probably nobody reads those things except me. And maybe Shaun also reads these things. But that says I get to sell your data to whoever I want and do whatever I want with that data. And I can use that for all sorts of things because I want to make money. Here's an example. So we can buy cell phone GPS data. As a private company, I can buy this. I don't know who it is, but I know where they went. So this was a restaurant inside of a hotel, and I said for a given period of a year or 6 months, how many people went to this restaurant? And I did this with just a few dollars buying GPS data. And then I can see where else in the world did these people go? Did they go to the hair salon after the restaurant? Where did they go? I can see if they went to church afterwards. I can see where they're going. So imagine they could also see who is going to a ranger station or who is going to this conference this week and where did they go afterwards. And they can make assumptions about people in conservation or people who are working on conservation because maybe they're bad guys and they want to know these things and know whose phone to hack into. And so when like this might have been because some app on the phone had one of these privacy policies or terms of use that you said okay to. So these are all ways that not only companies will try to sell you things or data scientists will try to understand behaviors to know where to put another ice cream shop or something like this. It's also the way the bad guys find out about what we're doing and try to track us. So in US corporate speak, this world is called alternative data. And private equity, hedge funds, they use this data to make more money. So there's thousands of these companies. This was a convenient picture with a lot of these things. What they're doing is they're taking your data as citizens in the world, and they're selling it to other companies so they can make more money. And we're agreeing to this by saying terms of use, I agree, I agree, I agree. And that means, for example, clickstream data, apologies, the Google slides did a funny thing there. Clickstream means for a certain population of people, we know what order of websites you went to. So if I want to know for like who went to the EarthRanger website, where did they go before, where did they go after? That's for 11 million people in the US, we can buy that data. We don't know who it is, but we know the order of websites that they went to. And that's probably a thing that should make us all nervous. We can buy satellite data. We can buy credit card data to know what people are buying and how much money they spend. These are all knowable things. We can find out how people feel about certain things. We could also buy email receipt data, which means someone has access to a whole lot of email and they're willing to sell the data from these things. Web traffic, all these sorts of things. So there's this whole world that I wanted to, before I hand it to Shaun here, I wanted to educate people about because this is the business view of this data, but there's also a whole lot of other kinds of things happening that means we as users of technology should be very careful about how we use it and understand who's providing this to it and be safe with the way we're using this thing. So let me hand it to Shaun.
I don't need that. I've got a big mouth. First of all, we got it wrong. I was co-founder of Kinetic Six. The guy with the beautiful pink shirt out there is the co-founder of Kev Marriott. Just adding to what he just said then, okay, and then a little bit of background, ex-UK Special Forces communicator, communications, selling both offensive and defensive, government, special forces, military around the world, okay? That's important because you just mentioned something then about all people coming in here, all your phones being tracked with this location, right? The easiest way to get all your data, the first thing we do is we hack the Wi-Fi, right? How easy is that, do you think? How easy it is for someone to come outside this hotel, mimic the Wi-Fi, you will log onto it, okay, and they steal your data. Or you log in passwords, etc., etc. How easy is that?
Pretty easy.
Very easy, right? You can put it in a
Shaun, sorry, need to use the mic for the video.
Yeah, but I'm talking very sensitive stuff. So I'm going to go in.
Cool.
Very easy, very cheap, okay? So talking about stealing your data is very, very easy, right? I can't put it on the slide deck here. I've got some examples I'm going to show you that should actually worry you a little bit, okay? So for example, utilising the same information that this gentleman said, and actually I think Tony's a genius. Some of you and some people out there will listen to what he's got to say and be like, oh, right? No one's really interested in ones and zeros and what people do online, right? But it is the most important subject I think, in this whole complex this week. Why? Because you can put 1,000 rangers on the ground, but if some bad actor is reading every single email, looking at every single animal, every single track, location of your EarthRanger, what's the point of putting rangers up? Because they know what you're doing anyway. Because they're reading every single email, reading every single piece of information. The reason why I know that is because I've done a check on loads of conservation organisations, and I've got key logs of everyone's logging in, what systems are logging in, what their passwords are, okay? And that took me about 5 minutes to obtain, okay? This isn't a conservation log, so I'm going to do that, right? What I'm saying is, you are the second highest hacked entity in the world, right? Second highest, right? Why do you think that is? How big is the wildlife criminal activity? How much is it worth in billions? Yeah. So how much is your cyber security within inside your network, within inside your organisation? If you're fighting an organisation that's got billions of dollars to try and access your information so they can do something to make money, and they're spending billions, how much are you spending? Okay? How are you managing your passwords? Basics, right? How are you managing your passwords? I'll tell you how bad it is. And I know, Wes, you probably know all this sort of stuff anyway. I know you're working in intel agencies and all that sort of cool stuff, which is what we do as well, right? This is a report I've done, right? So doing the same reverse engineering, we are inside multiple Telegram groups, okay? Watching and buying, or selling, I should say, children. Can I have it? Which route can I have it? They basically say, yeah, all good, beautiful, our London, our UK team, and then they basically list down what you want. Put your name down, put your bank details down, when do you want it delivered? Okay? So that's how much in the background going on in the face of the criminal world, which is a multi-billion pound thing, right? Yet, if we're not being educated, we don't care, or actually, it's too much of a big problem, right? So we need likes of Wes and all sorts of people from our background in these organisations to teach some of this, both offensive and defensive systems that are going on out there to be able to use to lock up your systems, right? So, for example, I will not pass this around. Anyone is more than welcome to come and see it and touch it, but no one's having it, and I'm passing it around for obvious reasons. So, Tony, you mentioned our operating systems and all the information on people's computers, right? So this is just one computer. So all I have to do in the system, and bear in mind this system isn't very expensive in the grand scheme of billions, right? We're talking this a £2 million product, for example, right? Don't buy it, it's a service, right? So if we can do that, I can guarantee you, okay, there will be criminal organisations, okay, talk billions, right? That will be able to get some software, build that, and use the same. Do you follow football at all?
Hello?
Football? Do you follow football?
Yes.
Who do you follow?
Huh?
What football team do you follow?
Just,
Tottenham.
yes.
So I teach at some schools, well, it normally works, you probably wrong. Most people use their football club and their date of birth as a password. Then they might think they're really clever and do @ or password. Remember the old password with capital P and that way? These systems, right, if I want to crack your password, right, the AI nowadays, just crack your password in seconds. Right? So using football clubs, if I've already done social profiling on you, which is what you mentioned about knowing what apps you download, what you're doing, and socially profile you, I know you follow Tottenham, that's where I'm going to start first. Tottenham 1985, that means one day, for example. Right? Just as basics, okay? Now the problem is, and this person's a prime example, and again I will show you when you, if you want to. This guy here, these are all URLs, these are all the logins, all that is the same password on all those systems. Use the same password, okay? So, is there a reason why people use the same password? Right, why would you not use a 20-word password? Why would you forget a 20-word password?
Random items
What's your favourite band? Well, I mean, obviously mine's Britney Spears, but what's yours?
Boys to Men.
Boys to Men, right? We know it is a Boys to Men. I guarantee you, we got a Spotify in Boys to Men. So we're going to pick Boys to Men. Number 6 in the charts in 1985, Boys to Men. Pick the first line of the song. How are you going to forget that? Hey baby, take me one more time. Okay, that's the name of that's the song, right? But the first letter is a capital, and the last letter is a capital, and an I is an I is a 1, and an E is a 3. Right? How can you socially profile that now at Tottenham? So what is your password going to be? It's going to be Arsenal, isn't it? Because no one's going to think of Tottenham fans going to have Arsenal as a password. So it's basics, right? So when I say you're fighting against multi-billion-pound crime organisations taking you down, reading every single email, knows what you're doing, how do you actually know that when you do lose an animal or something happens, how do you not know that's been someone monitoring your computer, your emails, your EarthRanger for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks or months? Yeah? So ultimately, you can put all the security on the ground you want, but if you can't do the basics on your phone, we all get lazy. So I guarantee all of us here are logging onto the Wi-Fi here, right? Who's using a VPN? So am I. Right? So they think you've got access to EarthRanger, right? Because of where your title is. So now they think, right, he's got access to EarthRanger, now we're going to do some social profiling, going to follow you, and eventually they're going to be inside your EarthRanger. So all the work you've done is for nothing. And there's no point going to EarthRanger and saying, oh, I need you to plug that gap. Because guess what? When I did my little cyber search, there was only a couple of organisations here that have not even got a single tap, and obviously EarthRanger being one. Not a single leak on the internet anywhere. Nor the US, just so you know. Nor's NRT, Nor's 51 degrees. Now look at the people that are behind those companies who work there, from either Intel or military background or IT. So they've locked themselves down because they're using best practices. Make sense? So when I did a search of some of the people I know very well, it's pretty leaking. And then you look at someone and you think, wow, not a single piece on the World Wide Web on that organisation because they're absolutely tied down because they follow these type of principles. They use VPNs or they do security, well in their joint operations command centres. I actually ran out of laminated paper to actually finish this report, as well. Because that's how many things in that one person's PC using the same, I would say pretty much the same password apart from his wife's name and her date of birth. So, personally, I do think this room should be absolutely packed. I think this is probably the most important subject. I think what Tony was mentioned was more on the commercial side as well. So in the commercial side of stuff, everything you do on the internet, right? All the AI driven. So if you're on Instagram and you're doing something, when you're on Twitter, next minute you've been looking at some football boots once online. Next minute that's the advert that's popping up on your stuff all the time. Yeah. So the whole thing is called advertising intelligence. We use it to track phones, so then there's me to catch bad people doing stuff, in counter human trafficking or special operations, right? You use it to go and put a new McDonald's over there. Right, we want McDonald's there. Why? Because everyone goes there. I want to use the same technology to find out who is there when that kidnap happened or when that rider got killed. I could do the same information. So we use that information to find out where that phone goes back to, now we know where they live. It's easy, right? As it is really easy for the criminals, because they've got billions behind them, to actually sell animals and humans on a bloody chat group. As in, I'm going to go to Kenya and kill this one. I'll see you in London in 3 days' time. That's how bad it is, right? So what we've got to do is lock ourselves down at the IT piece and let the rest of the guys and girls do their bit. There's no point, like, where's all your guys and all your guys are out on the ground if the dude in the ops room's password top of 85? Pointless. Because the next time someone gets whacked, How do you not know? It's not the fact that you didn't put the operational team in the right place at the right time, or high noon, and however, everything you should be doing in TTPs. It's actually someone's been in your email for 6 months. They know exactly where you're going to go, because you're the head of security, and they know you're the person that puts out all the reports of what people are doing and where they're going to go. So they're not going to put poachers at that. So at the top here, these people in the right at the top of their criminal syndicates, by the time it gets down to this guy down here, Mr. Sam, you're going to go in this region on this day, and then there's a right in there. We've already got the one you need. Okay? So that is the power of lack of common sense and knowledge, okay, and SOPs which are an optional when you're managing your data. Simple as that. Anything I missed?
I think you covered it.
Any questions?
All right, questions? Do you want this one? All right. Is there anyone with a question? Is there anyone with energy left after that talk? Ah, nice.
Hi, yeah, my name is Melvin. I just wanted to find out the platforms that we are using, have we done any kind of zero-day vulnerability scans in those type of apps, like using apps like Redundant?
Heard of anyone? It has 30 years rights to your computer, to your pictures. 30 years. So
Oh,
you
wow.
can picture yourself now, 29 years from now, you do something, you go and get a really cool job, but in one of the organisations you work for, there's a picture of you 29 years ago, you're an idiot. And then you're fired. So the app's permissions, yeah, no reason for one. And also, ultimately, some of the apps, and I'm not saying app, I'm called Facebook an app, but some of the permissions on Facebook are so insane.
Shocking.
Right? But if you look at some of the apps and you actually realise, okay, we're not going to operate on WhatsApp, for example, because they give you permission to change Then
Absolutely.
as an organisation, sit down and talk about it and go, right, we're not downloading WhatsApp posts, we're using Signal, we're using Telegram.
Absolutely.
So you need to go, yeah, 100%. So, yes, there are tools that sit on phones, but sometimes they're a pain in the ass. Because they're constantly telling you, you're about to download a bad app. And it's the app that you need, but you have to then differentiate whether or not, or not differentiate, you have to understand the permissions you're going to have or allow, are you okay with that?
Yeah,
and you
sure.
discuss it as a team and you allow that.
Cool.
And I would just add, a big part of the whole comment was penetration.
The smart app and so forth, that maybe we don't do any kind of penetration testing and stuff there. And I would think that if somebody had to gain certain permissions and stuff, that could be quite devastating. But yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. This was very informative.
I would say we were discussing this before we got on, and looking at the data that we pulled off on the systems we used. I'd say your front door's open, your back door's open, your lights are on, and your stereo's full blast at the moment. Right, so if you would do that, I'd start off with turning the music down, turn the light down, put some candles on, close the back door and lock the front door. Right, and start again. And then when you get there, then you can start realising that actually some of the impact that your amazing teams on the ground are doing are basically you're backing them up from behind, right? So we're putting all these people out there doing all some amazing stuff, you're cutting around with top of the fibers of plasma, for example. He hasn't, by the way, but I'm just saying. Right? You're a team, right? So the people that are managing the IT piece and all the downloads of the apps and how you do stuff, right? Your job is equally important as the people on the boots on the ground jumping out of places and putting their life in place because you're putting their life in place, they're not doing your job.
All right, coming.
So is there an opportunity, sorry, Peter Hamming, Southern African Wildlife College, and I think I saw your talk from last year online. So
The thing is, training because obviously, you know, you're training the guys to weapon handling, right? And all the other cool stuff, you know, you want to get killed, right? So where's the training for the basics back in the command center? Not just the SOPs of how you're writing reports out and stuff like that, but the IT element of it. It is, I have a team that does it. I'm regurgitating facts that I know. IT's boring, but it's bloody important if that's what you do. And also important, you're a genius, obviously. And back in these geniuses are the ones that build all the source code, all the stuff you see. But for me, I can't, you know. I want to be able to teach you or show you or give you the SOPs that stops someone breaking all the hard work while he's writing all the code to give you this amazing product, which is EarthRanger, and then we're blowing it by just not doing standard IT solutions. You know?
Thank you. Next question. Oh no.
I think I'll ask another question, and that is on Microsoft. So Microsoft Excel, you get
Keep honest people honest, and that's the extent of it. I think it's the only reason why it just makes it a little bit more convenient to do it. If you really have something that's that secret, you shouldn't be emailing it in the first place. You probably don't want to rely on a password that I think it's roughly $10 you can get it cracked for. It's not like, or you can buy the tool and do it forever. It's not a super reliable thing. So you want to use encryption, and you want to apply a greater level of security than for the Excel password. It's better than nothing, but I would say it's not really that great of a credit.
I got another question here.
What would you add to would you add some?
No, yeah. You've got weapons in a locker, so if you really needed to write them down, like I said, passphrases are the easiest to remember, but then you might not remember someone else's passphrase. So there is an element of writing stuff down and putting in the weapons in the locker.
I just want to ask about, you said emailing is not a very secure way. There are email organizations such as Proton Mail that offer an encrypted email service. Is that something that is safe or not?
I would do your due diligence and research those. Some of the way that commercially data is made legally available is from third-party email apps. And those third-party emails, not Proton in particular, but other ones, make money by selling things like Netflix subscription data. How many people canceled their Netflix subscription? And so the reason why they're doing that, because publicly traded companies, if you can find out that a whole lot of people added or canceled a subscription to Netflix or something, you can make money on the stock market because you know ahead of their financial announcement how they did. That's why those things exist. I can't recommend any particular Proton or any of these things. Maybe Shaun has a favorite one, but I would do your homework and your research and sort of find out whether they're sharing your data and how do they make money. My favorite thing is some of the, not my favorite thing, my favorite example, Avast, one of the virus scanning software, used to power a lot of this stuff because they sold all of your web traffic in full visibility of everyone, and then finally somebody discovered this and they said, we really don't want you doing that, even though we clicked I agree, and they had to shut that down. The second one is one of these ad blocker plugins that you add to the browser. they're blocking ads, but they're selling where you go. So I think in a lot of these cases, you want to do some homework and research, and you don't have to be a security researcher. You just need to read the privacy policy. I don't know, where would you?
I know that's that, and I know there's plenty of people out walking around here actually. Just reach out to people you know that are already doing certain stuff, get a second opinion. So go speak to someone, see what systems they're using, what security they're using, and then reach out to a couple of people. You know, I mean, the whole point I think of this whole conference is getting best practices from other people, right? So if someone else is using a good system, then again, do a bit of research and look at it. One thing I just mentioned on the fact that we call open source intelligence, or OSINT, is where we collect all our data when we're doing our sort of searches on people. And the reason why you give so much data up nowadays is because you can't download or do anything without putting in your phone number or your email, right? And when you do that, that's the data that gets sold, right? So that's where you get so many emails and so many spams. So just to add, and I hope maybe finish this off, that as a way of protecting yourself, if you're receiving emails constantly, okay, from people you don't know, right? Please tell me no one's clicking on it. So I have a folder which is basically, I use it to then share to the kids I teach. And the fact that if it isn't someone I know, or even sometimes even banks that I like, so when you phone up the bank, what do they ask you for? The same thing. Maybe they even date of birth. It's insane. Then they phone you up. And that's, to me, that's a breach of security, right? They still do it. So when they phone me up, I just put the phone down and tell them to send me an email. And then I with a number, then I phone that number up. Then I confirm it, and then so I do the thing. So if you get an email through someone or something, right, it might be because your data's been sold. Okay, so the last thing you do is click on anything that's an email tells you to do. Click on this, do that. The moment you okay, it's just a EarthRanger saying we're going to do this instead. Brilliant. The first thing you should also do is look at the URL at the top, because it says Bob Smith at proton ... That isn't just from EarthRanger, is it? That's not his URL. So delete it immediately, or forward it to EarthRanger and say, hey, guys, look what I got today. That's just little things, little due diligence, and these are the SOPs, obviously, that we would teach, and these are the sort of things that you do. Just to be, so cyber isn't a bad thing if you know what you're doing, right? If you're driving a car, right, you don't scream the whole time you're driving it, do you? Because you know what you're doing, because you've been driving it for years, right? So don't be frightened of cyber or being cyberly attacked, because you just need the education behind what you need to do. Then when you get a spam email, just laugh. Oh my God, I can't believe anything going to fall for that today. Okay? Because that's the point, education is key. Yes.
Can I? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, everyone. I think your presentation, to me, I feel like it's eye-opening, and we don't think about the basic stuff like you saying and all of that. We look at internet and like we connect into the same Wi-Fi. We put stuff about like animals and whatever.
You say, you mean sold, you mean, so you're searching the web browser, right?
Yeah.
Is that within some commercial piece?
Yeah, so you said iCloud. I think iCloud's probably relatively okay compared to just the open web of wherever you're going. I would just think, I think generally the idea is let's have some best practices. Let's control the things we can control. Let's change our passwords. Let's make sure they're hard to guess. Let's use different passwords on different sites. Those types of things. You decline cookies that you don't think you need. All those sorts of normal things. And then eventually we have to trust something. We have to trust Android as an operating system. We have to trust iOS as whatever those are. That we have to trust something. You can't live your whole life in
you can use, where you randomly generate password and then store it kind of thing. And then we're going to go over to...
Personally, I'm a huge fan of password managers, as long as they're one of the kind of very, very trusted top few of them. There's a very long tail of suspect password managers that I don't know that I can completely trust. But the beauty of a password manager for me is there's no way I would ever remember these things. They're 20, 30 digits long. They're very complicated, and I'm a very paranoid person. I carry around hardware tokens for logging into things. So this is the next level of this sort of stuff. So I may not be the best person to comment on it, but I think those kind of tools are good.
I was going to say, there's a few people out here, like you said, the co-founder, Kinetic Six, master, data leak 0, 51 degrees 0, MLT 0. Why? Where's 0? IT networks, yours 0. There are people that are doing best practices because they've had the knowledge. Right?
Yeah.
They're not waking up every morning worrying they're going to get hacked. They just know what they're doing. So with that knowledge, so can you.
All right, 3 more quick questions. First one.
Cool, yeah, I just wanted to say, in terms of email, if you sign up to a service, like my name is Melvin, if I sign up it if I want to. So try and make use of that for security purposes as well. And also if you need to sign up when you're testing your websites and stuff, you can literally just go +1, +2, +3, +4 after your name. So I'll just say it again, melvin@gmail.com. Instead of that, I'll go melvin plus spam@gmail.com and I'll still get that email. So can use that as a thing as well. Very cool.
All right, Wes.
Sorry, just one more question. I think we had a gentleman talking about iCloud and cloud, and I think it's worth just clarifying 100% here, cloud security, because that is obviously an area of serious concern, especially when it comes to some of the more institutional users. How do we make sure that cloud systems like EarthRanger are kept secure? And I know probably your first answer is going to be close the front door with a good password, but what are the other ways that a cloud can be penetrated, or is there another way other than a bad password? And that's quite valuable.
We do a yearly penetration test. We hired a third-party company.
So for EarthRanger, we do hire a third-party company for penetration test. So they went and tested our front door, and then they tested cloud where the data is stored, and then we also restrict who from our company can access and work on this system. They could get access to our database, for instance. That's a very small few.
And then probably Google spends billions of dollars on securing the whole thing. So I think that part of the beauty of cloud is you can benefit from huge spend and people who think about security, and there's this whole conference times 2 or 3 just security people at Google or at AWS or wherever thinking about all the ways to protect the cloud itself. I would just add that. So.
And then just add to that, there are tools out there that you can plug into your network, which in effect runs constant pen testing as well. So you've got your own pen test constantly going into your own system. So there's those tools as well. And that actually alerts immediately So you're on my last presentation last year. That's what we do on the dark web. So we put in, say, your system's name, so your URL, whatever. The moment there's a hack, you know about it in seconds, and then you know about it in seconds. So there's different tools out there that can plug into your system that will alert you when there's an issue. So what's the first thing you do when you get an issue? You change the password and lock that and pull it down. That's pretty much what these guys do on their own system. And there's tools out there that you can use as well.
Are you okay with asking your question to these guys afterwards so we can all go to the keynote just now? Yeah, I just want to wrap up quickly. I think, yeah, thank you very much. This is a whole different ball game that I'm not used to, and it's pretty scary, I think. I do like to add that I think for us, AP-wise, what I see happening in a lot of the control rooms is one of our biggest issues is people actually putting that front door open, like putting like passwords on little pieces of papers in control rooms, these kind of things that can never happen. And then one thing that I would like to ask, but we'll do that later, but maybe it's something that was worthwhile mentioning, is that we've got a lot of these internet management systems in our control room, so people basically can't go to certain websites. Well, at least if they don't know too much about VPNs, that works. Otherwise, it doesn't. But yeah, no, I think one of the issues we have in conservation as well, and Shaun, you'll agree or not, I don't know actually, but we unfortunately have a lot of people sitting in control rooms that don't always have too much work. And I know in control rooms, people are using most of our internet in lots of our parks. And that's also where a lot of the people go wherever they want to. Anyway, I would like to really thank you guys. I think basic security is something that everyone and every organization should actually do. And I don't think it's happening. So it's definitely hugely important. Thank you guys. Give a round of applause. And then that's it.